Hello everyone, praise the Lord. Welcome to this Sermonette series on the month of July on waiting on God. You know that feeling when you're rushing to get somewhere and you want to be served? Say it's a government office or even you just want to get some food and you get inside the door into the room and you realize there's a whole queue of people waiting. And you were in such a hurry, you had such anticipation, and suddenly your heart sinks all the way down because you have to wait until like 50 people are served or 100 people are served, and you don't know when it's going to be your turn. Now, that kind of waiting is okay because eventually you will just tick off. 5 people have been served, another 5 people, another 50 people. It's almost your turn. It's easy. It's arithmetic. But waiting on God is not arithmetic. Waiting on God is not even reasonable. Waiting on God is not something you can just sit, calculate, predict, or say, at this time, next year, I'll have received this blessing that I've been waiting on God for. How do we behave when we're waiting on God? Or even how do we, right now you're listening to me, how do you feel about the very statement, waiting on God? You probably are waiting on God for something currently as we speak. We all have one thing that we want God to do for us. Everybody has that one thing. Regardless of what you think about the person, they all have something that they're waiting on God for. But how do you wait? What emotions are evoked out of you when you're waiting? Are you waiting in patience? Are you waiting in love? Are you waiting knowing the heart of God? Do you go to God to glorify Him for who He is, to exalt His name? Is that where you start in your prayers, or do you start by saying, God, I still am waiting. I want something. You've been telling me I should wait for this. I'm growing impatient. And that's just the reality. That's who we are as human beings. Sometimes we grow impatient. Sometimes we think God forgot about it. Sometimes we start thinking weird things that people have bewitched us. Weird, funny kind of things that probably someone said something against me, that's why I haven't yet received a certain blessing. So today I want us to focus on what kind of refinery is this waiting on God process like? How do you feel at the point of when? And that's where you are when you're waiting. You're always at the point of when. When am I going to see this blessing? When am I going to get to the next level? We are at the point of when right now, with this whole corona pandemic, and we're wondering, when is it going to be over? When are we going to go back to normal? I like doing something when I'm looking up the context of a certain word, and I like to study the origin of a word. So the word wait is from Germanic origin, and it actually means to observe carefully and to be watchful. That's what waiting is. Waiting is not just sitting there and expecting in doubt, in fatigue, in exasperation. Waiting is being watchful. Waiting is not saying, nangoja tu. So if we're understanding that the meaning of the word wait is to observe carefully, then we should be observing carefully the Lord, not our emotions, not how long we've waited, not how long we think we're going to have to wait. We're not supposed to be observing carefully how other people are getting the blessings we are desiring. That's not what we're observing carefully. We're not observing carefully how other people are moving ahead and we're still waiting to move even one step or even half a step. We're observing carefully the Lord, because it is through Him that all things move and have their being. So that's who we should be observing carefully. I want us to look at the story of Abraham. God came to Abraham and promised him that he would be the father of many nations. But long after, Abraham didn't even get a child. Sarah kept trying to conceive over and over and over again. And you all know the story in Genesis. Until Sarah became impatient. And she suggested that Abraham slept with Hagar, who was a maidservant. Now, that was compromise as a result of too much waiting. Have you been led to compromising on your values? Have you been led to compromising on your faith in God because you think He's forgotten all about you? You see, much later, God came to him and told him, a time like this next year, you're going to be a father. You will bear a son. The first thing Abraham did is he laughed because he knew he would be 100 years old. Sarah laughed as well. man was waiting. Now what character is it producing out of you? Have you already been compromising so far? Jacob waited 14 years. So you all know the story of Jacob. Jacob was born a trickster. I really love the story of Jacob. So when Esau and Jacob, who are twins, when the mother is giving birth to them, Jacob is latching on to Esau's heel. He was a competitor since the word go. He was a trickster since the word go. And life did him one when his own uncle, Laban, did the same thing to him. But when you read the Bible, when Jacob is told to wait another 7 years to get Rachel, the Bible clearly says that Jacob thought it was like days because of the love that he had for Rachel. Now I want to give you another aspect of waiting. As you're waiting on God, are you waiting in love? Because love reduces the burden of the wait. When you're waiting with love, and I'm not talking about just love misplaced, it's love towards God. It's a kind of feeling where probably you're waiting in line and you've been waiting for a few hours, and you know this kind of things happen, and then a friend of yours walks in. This is a very good friend of yours, and they look for you and they come sit next to you and you guys start catching up. What happens? You almost forget that you've been waiting for too long. You almost want the line to even become longer so that you can have enough time to catch up with your friend. How about you catch up with your friend Jesus while you're waiting? When you wait in love, when you wait in expectation, knowing that which you're waiting for is lovely, you can reduce the burden of waiting. Waiting does not have to be a very heavy burden that you have to carry around with you everywhere, that when we look at you, we see you have a lot of loads. So now let's look at Joseph and how he waited. Joseph, while he was still young, tending his father's flock, he gets a dream. We all know Joseph. I think even for the non-believers, they know that Joseph was a dreamer. So we know that Joseph got this dream, and there were all these sheaves, and they were bowing down to him, and so was the sun and the moon. And Joseph waits for this dream to come to reality, because while he was at a tender age, God reveals to him the meaning of this dream. But while he waited, he was sold into slavery, he was thrown into a pit, he went to the Pharaoh's, Potiphar's house. Then Potiphar's wife wanted him, and then Potiphar's wife accused him falsely. Joseph went into prison, stayed there, interpreted dreams of the cupbearer and the chief baker, asked them not to forget about him. They chose to forget about him, and so on and forth. And we know that Joseph's journey was long, but eventually, when he gets to the point where his brothers come to him, all the way from Israel, and they're coming to look for pasture in Egypt because there was a great famine, he goes in tears. He gets into tears because it's such an emotional moment. And I like the words that he said. And he said that it was the plan of God. Because right here, right now, well, of course I'm paraphrasing, right here, right now, I have been put by God in a position where I am second in command to Pharaoh. And I am, as it is, in a position to help you out. Because of Joseph, all the people from Jacob's house went and got a land called Goshen because of Joseph. So you see, he waited for it. In pain, he endured, he persevered, but eventually he was crowned with greatness, just as was the dream. So now we've looked at waiting in compromise, waiting in love, and also waiting in endurance and perseverance. Let's look at the kind of waiting that Daniel did, waiting in holiness. Daniel got a dream, and the dream intrigued him, and he needed to get a revelation for that. So he decided that he will stay away, he will keep himself pure, stay away from all choice food and choice wine, so that he can get this revelation from God. And he went into deep prayer, a period of searching, waiting in holiness. How are you waiting? Remember, we're looking at waiting and what it is producing out of us, because waiting really is a refinery. We all know that Daniel went for 21 days, but if you really follow through that story, Daniel hadn't intended to go for 21 days. He just didn't get the breakthrough. The breakthrough came in the 21st day, when the angel went to him and told him, from the day you set out to pray, God had your prayers, but the prince of Persia has intercepted me for the last 21 days until Gabriel, the angel Michael, came to deal with him. So Daniel waited in holiness to get a revelation of a dream. Isn't that beautiful, to just wait in holiness? To wait without really considering your views, considering your emotions, considering your desires. You're waiting in holiness. When you wait in holiness, brothers and sisters, you are waiting in agreement and in obedience to His will and to His commands. Now finally, I want us to look at the waiting, the kind of waiting that Jesus did, waiting for the prize, waiting for the achievement of the mission. We all know that it was such a trying time for Jesus, to the point where He asked, Father, if it is your will, take this cup away from me, because He knew what was coming ahead. So we're seeing 2 seasons of waiting. If you really look at the Jesus story, who is our Lord and Savior, Him whom we worship, Him whom we glorify, He waited until it was time for Him to serve, until it was time for Him to minister, until it was time for Him to now go out to the nations, because that's who He was sent for. And we see at the wedding at Cana in Galilee, when Jesus tells His mother, after His mother tells Him, you can really help these people, because there was that wedding and they ran out of wine. And Jesus told His mother, it is not yet time. The time has not yet come. Now, my question to you, and this is a challenge, have you grown in spirituality to the point where you know when it's not yet time for you to do something, when you know it's not yet time for you to start a certain mission? And if you haven't, and I know that because we are all there at some point, then maybe this is your cue to go and start searching the heart of God. Because waiting really is observing carefully the Lord. It is He who we are observing. Let's look at Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord, hope can be replaced with the word wait in other versions, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Those who wait on the Lord in prayer. Let me just give you a challenge. Every time you're feeling weary, discouraged, downcast, just put on some worship songs and start praying. You get your strength renewed, and as the word is saying, they will soar on wings like eagles. That means the position is a position of elevation. They will walk and not be faint. You don't get faint in the waiting. You wait and you're still strong to wait. You're waiting rejoicing, right? They will run and not grow weary. So that means that you're always waiting on the Lord. You're always never tired. You're running, you're not growing weary. You have the energy. It's like God just keeps pumping you with energy supernaturally for those who wait on the Lord. Let us look at Romans chapter 5, from verse 3 to 5. The Bible says, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings. Now we can look at waiting as suffering, because when you're waiting for something, that means you don't yet have it. That means even your bodily state is in agony, because you're still waiting for that particular thing. That means that your emotional state is in jeopardy, because at any one time you might fall into discouragement. So the sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, and this is what you need to get: perseverance, resilience, or what you can even call grit. You need to learn to have that perseverance produced in you, because what happens after perseverance has been produced? Character. Perseverance produces character. Character, when now you become a more patient person, and as you grow in the Lord, people will even start telling you, you're more patient than you used to be. Oh, that person just really insulted you, and I just saw you stand and stare. That person just cut you in line and you didn't do anything like you would have. Character grows out of it. So you see where we're starting from this? We're starting from the sufferings. The sufferings produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character. And character produces hope. And hope, this is a verse that I really love. Hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. And where do we put our hope in? Our Lord Jesus Christ. So therefore, as you start off the week, and even the month, and as you wait on God, wait with joy, wait with gladness, wait in holiness, wait in perseverance. Let the Lord produce your character. So we wind up by looking at the story of Hannah, Elkanah's beloved wife, who for so long wanted to have a child. She was barren, she couldn't conceive. She really wanted to have a child, and she prayed for a long time, and Elkanah, the husband, would always, just be there for her and be a support system for her. Hannah's period of waiting, perseverance, suffering, produced a character in her that led her one day, and I believe it was under humility and submission to the Lord, that she prayed and said, Lord, give me a son, and I will give him back to you for your service. But you see, even when God gave Hannah Samuel, God gave Hannah 5 other children. Wait on God. Observe carefully. Observe the Lord carefully, because He does not disappoint. Put all your hope in God, because when He blesses, replenishes, and then gives you extreme abundance that you did not even anticipate or even ask for. Because we know in the Bible, He answers exceedingly, abundantly, above and beyond all we could ask or think. So all I ask you today, and all I'm also including myself in this prayer to do, is to wait on the Lord in hope and expectation for the best to come out of this season of waiting. He will answer your prayer. Stay hopeful. And now let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for every single one of us for listening to you right now. Thank you because of the way you've talked to us this morning and taught us on how to wait on you with patience and loving you and just observing carefully your ways and your will for us, and in total surrender and submission. Thank you for your word, that your hope will never disappoint us. So I pray for this brother and sister who's listening to this, as they wait on you today, that they will wait in expectation of the loving Father that you are, and of you answering their prayer